and my wife have been together for years, and we've been struggling with fertility since we got married. A few weeks ago I found out that she was pregnant, though she knew she was pregnant 3 months before she told me. Knowing she knew for so long upset me, but I tried to let it go. A week after finding that out, I come home to see her crying on the couch with a pregnancy stick in her hand. I assumed it was just hormones and tried to comfort her until she stopped me from doing so and said, "I lost the baby." I was overwhelmed with emotions. I was angry, sad. I don't even know how to explain it. I sat there in shock for a moment, trying to process how this could have happened, how and why so quickly, just everything. After I was able to gain a slight amount of composure, I started asking questions. Come to find out, she hasn't gone to the hospital in 2 months, so after she found out she was pregnant, she didn't go to the hospital since. I asked her why she didn't tell me that she was pregnant for so long. Simply responded with, "I knew my body and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay beforehand." I asked her how she just didn't tell me all that time and was perfectly fine with it, and all she said was, "I just told you," and carried on looking at the pregnancy test. I responded under the heat of the moment, "Well, if you would have just told me, then maybe I could have helped and this wouldn't have happened." To say regretted what I said was an understatement. I know how that sounded, but that is genuinely not what I meant to come out like. It was simply under the heat of the moment while I was still trying to understand everything that was going on. Right after she asked how I'm blaming this on her, and I tried to explain that's not what I meant and that came out so wrong, but she ignored me, grabbed some of her random belongings and left. She was gone for 2 weeks, and I tried to call around and see where she was at, but no answers. I found out that she has been staying at my in-laws' house for the past 2 weeks. I tried talking to her multiple times, explaining that's not what I meant. I was under the heat of the moment and that this is an entire misunderstanding. She said she just couldn't get what I said out of her head and asked me to leave. A week after that, I come home to divorce papers on the table and a shit ton of her belongings packed out. I know that what I said was wrong, but I did not mean it. I tried taking it back. I tried explaining to her that that's not what I meant. I don't think that is her fault, but I was just confused so many times. I know that this is wrong, but I feel like this was completely blown out of proportion for a genuine misunderstanding. I have gone above and beyond to try to explain this, but she just won't listen. Again, I understand that it was an asshole thing to say, but under the circumstances, I wasn't in the right state of mind. She was holding the test she took when she found out she was pregnant. Next story. So my sister takes huge pride in being a virgin, which is of course amazing for her. We were not raised in a religious family and our parents don't give a shit, so this is all her pure beliefs as to why she wants to wait until she's married. She is very judgmental, so I kept my sex life to myself around her. In a twisted turn of events, I ended up getting pregnant just 2 months after my IUD, smiley face. And being pregnant caused my sister to dislike me even more and shame me more for having sex, and telling me she hopes the father would leave me a single mom to teach me a lesson about having casual sex. Safe to say I cut her off during my pregnancy, but she begged and apologized her way back after my son was born and we became cordial again. My sister has a boyfriend she's been with since she was a junior in high school. She's now 21 and I'm 22. She always boasted to me about how they're waiting till they're married and how their relationship is built on trust and actual love and not lust and blah blah. To my surprise, a few weeks ago, my old coworker who I worked with when I was pregnant and who I had confided in about my drama with my sister, cutting her off at the time, calls me and tells me that my sister's boyfriend messaged her on Tinder. She sent me proof of his profile with a fake name with one blurry mirror picture, clearly him, and in the message he said that his girlfriend knows that he has one, just to hook up, because my coworker told him she knows me, but then he unmatched her. Luckily she had taken screenshots. To add on to my shock, she told me she found my sister's page through mine and already messaged her, and my sister blocked her immediately. I didn't say anything until her birthday recently. She was having it in the basement of our house and it was a small get-together and just family and her boyfriend. She has no friends. Surprise, surprise. At the very end of the party my son woke up, so I went to get him and brought him downstairs. My little cousins were playing with him saying he's so cute, and my sister goes, "Ah, he is so cute, he looks just like his daddy." Wait, underscore 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 underscore, which one of the 10 guys is his daddy? And her boyfriend start dying of laughter. Everyone went quiet. I was so embarrassed. I then said, "His name is Trevor, and I met him on Tinder. His girlfriend doesn't care that he sleeps with other girls. I think you know him," and smirked at her and her boyfriend. I thought they'd be embarrassed and leave it at that without exposing themselves, but my sister started screaming saying that I'm a bitch and to get the fuck out of her party. I went up to my room with my son and that was that. My little cousins put two and two together and made a Tinder just to find the profile, and they showed my sister downstairs, who I could hear shrieking and kicking everyone out. My parents don't even care about her joke, they're saying. Next story. Several years ago my grandparents had a 50th anniversary party. It was set up kinda like a wedding reception, so we had a choice for the meal. The options were 2 different German foods and steak. I was like 16, so I chose steak. Then at the actual event someone couldn't come and orders were mixed up, and I ended up with a pickle wrapped in meat. Everyone insisted that was what I picked. So I tried it, but then gave it to my dad because I didn't like it. Later they realized that I ended up with the person that couldn't come's food. No big deal. Well, since then this has become a joke with my family. They've done it 2 to 3 times since, whenever there's a wedding event with food selections. When my grandma was alive she yelled at my dad for it since he's the instigator. I'm not sure if he's doing it to get 2 meals or to be annoying, make me mad, or what the deal is. My cousin got married Saturday. A few weeks ago they sent out cards to pick our meal. They sent all of ours, dad's, mine, sister's, to my dad's house, with 1 return envelope. The options were steak, chicken, or stuffed portobello mushrooms. I selected steak, and specifically told my dad to just let me have a damn steak instead of messing with it. He said, I won't write anything on your card. Then fast forward to Saturday. Everything is going well, wedding is nice. We sit down to dinner and they give me mushroom stuffed with vegetarian pilaf. I said, there must be a mistake, I selected the beef. Server said that the star on my place card meant I ordered vegetarian. I looked at my dad and he laughed and said, I called Natalie after we sent our cards and told her you became a vegetarian and wanted to change your choice. My sister was there and said, Dad, don't you think that's getting old? I said, you said you wouldn't mess with it. He said, no, I said I wouldn't write on your card. I didn't. I called her, now you have to eat mushrooms, haha. I said, no I don't. Some time passed and my dad said, seriously, you're not even going to try it? They're just mushrooms, they won't hurt you. I shook my head. I hate mushrooms and I'm sick of this joke. I sat there till other people started getting up. Then I got up and went by the bar and had a beer, and avoided my dad till I left. My sister later said that I should have at least tried a little. It was kinda rude to just leave a whole plate of food sitting there. She said I could have had some of the rice stuff, but for all I know there were mushrooms in the pilaf too. Honestly, this makes me not want to go to any more family events with a meal. Next story. Me and my husband have been married for 7 years and have 4 kids, the last 2 born last September. My Sil and Bill recently had their first kid at the start of the year. Me and Sil are both Psalms. Bill and Sil came to visit last month and we got to meet their Lo for the first time. They stayed for 3 nights and while busy, it was an overall nice time. While here, me and Sil got talking about being Psalms and the topic of allowances came up. She asked how much I got, and I told her we didn't do allowances and I had free access to all our money. We talked for a few minutes on that topic, then moved on. Apparently due to this conversation, my Sil liked our system better and was badgering my Bill about it, who in turn talked to my husband and convinced him that allowances are a better system. Once they left, my husband told me he wanted to try out giving me a monthly allowance. My Bill and Sil calculated their allowance by how much my Sil would be making if she still worked, minus childcare fees and the equal percentage she'd have to contribute to rent, utilities, etc. I however had our first 2 while still in school and have never had an official job in relation to my degree, so that wasn't an option for us. During this conversation, it was one of the first time it seemed like my husband didn't understand my contribution to the household. He kept going on and on, so I relented. I calculated my monetary value as a Psalm by looking up the lower hourly rate of nannies in our area x4 in the hour of a normal 9 to 5, even though I'm never off the clock. I then also calculated the cost of house cleaners in our area and an estimated amount of time I spent cleaning. I chose 8. All in all, it came out to $12,560 rounded. I then overestimated it down to $3,000 to account for any household costs. By this stage, I could tell my husband knew that his brother was wrong and felt bad about the insinuations made, but I figured since he was so adamant to do this in the first place, why not try it out? I ended up going out for a afternoon and went shopping, spending $1,500 . To preface, most of the things I bought were needed, a few things for the kids, and a want in there as well. I got home, showed my husband, and he told me he got what I was saying and was sorry. He cooked dinner that night and spent the rest of the night reassuring me that he valued and understood that I was just as important to the household as he was. However, Bill found out and called me petty, spiteful, and a handful of other words, and some friends said that it was overkill and I shouldn't have gone further than the hypotheticals.